Hey friend, it's me Vasco with a quick announcement. We at the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast are organizing this year's Scrum Master Summit. For tickets and details on the summit, check out the URL bit.ly/SM Summit 22. All one word, SMSUMMIT 22. And now, on to the show. Hello, everybody. Today is the TGIF episode we have with us this week. Unfortunately, for the last time, but definitely for a fun episode, Luís Silva. Hey, Luís, welcome back.
Hi, Vasco. Happy Friday, everyone.
Absolutely. Happy Friday. So we dive straight into the product owner role because, of course, the product owner is the Batman to our Robin, right? Like we are the dynamic duo. When we put together a great product owner and a great Scrum Master, then amazing things can happen. So let's dive into that, and we'll talk about a great product owner a bit later. But do share with us first, what would be potentially the worst product owner anti-pattern you've witnessed in your career?
There are a lot of them, and not because of the people usually. One thing I learned is that usually PO problems are systemic problems. But I would say that there are two major anti-patterns that I see. One of them is a product owner that is not able to say no. Maybe they're afraid, maybe they're inexperienced. Sometimes it happens. There's a lot of pressure to manage when you're a product owner. And if you're not able to say no, or to say, we'll address that later, or let's understand it and then know when to do it, that's a big anti-pattern because, like we talked a couple of days ago, it incurs on the risk of increasing a team whip, for example, the work in progress. So that's one of the biggest anti-patterns I see. And the other one is a product owner that is afraid to own problems. So they start owning the backlog, which is cool, but they're not owning the problems. So we go back to the conversation that we had yesterday, which is they stop focusing on the outcomes that they want to achieve. They start thinking about the outputs, and a lot of the effort that the product owner ends up spending is between moving items up and down to try and create a sense of prioritization between items that will never get done.
And of course, don't even get me started on the infinite backlogs that they usually create, because when you don't have a goal, when you don't have a clear definition of success, you called it outcomes. Of course, everything fits the backlog. You could come up with any idea and it would be a good idea to have in the backlog.
Yes, but you need something to tell you if this is moving towards where everybody wants you to move, not just yourself. And again, if it's just about, I see this a lot of times, which is the POs just owning that piece of the backlog, and this means that their work is moving pieces, issue types or issues up and down, and this is not a valuable effort that they're putting into it. They're valiant doing so, and they have the best intentions, but I'd rather have a PO focusing on now and next than keeping a tidy 300 item backlog.
When the team can maybe deliver 50 for a quarter or something like that.
Yes, for example.
Absolutely. And this is a topic we've discussed several times on Tuesday, yesterday, on Thursday, and also now when we talk about goals. And nowhere is that problem more visible than the product owner role, because the product owner is supposed to be the person who embodies the goals, who embodies the outcomes, who brings that to the team every day, because the team naturally wants to focus on the work, but they can get really lost in the weeds and forget about why they are doing those work items like user stories or features, whatever we end up calling them. And for that, I do have a question. These days, what do you do when you want to help a product owner focus on their goals, the outcomes that they should be working with?
First of all, I try to make them focus on the problems, and that's him. So I take what I call a goals first planning, whatever it is. Be it at a high level PI planning, like it or not in SAFe, be it at a sprint planning, I always try to foster the goals first approach. So first you think about the goals, and then you pull the items that will help you achieve those goals. And this might seem simple, but then they can fit so many things into the goal. And then that's when you need to get into the other layers of the conversation. And if you focus on the work, on the goals and the outcomes, then you can start on trying to focus the PO on maximizing the work not done, which is so valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the core aspects of Agile, maximize the work not done. We don't often talk about it. It's not one of those principles that gets quoted and mentioned all the time. But it does put us into that conversation where if you don't have a goal, all you can do is maximize the work done per unit of time. But when you have a goal, you can try to be creative on achieving it with the least amount of work.
Yes, and for example, this is very clear in when you're doing product. Sometimes achieving goals could mean not developing anything, and you need to understand that, and people need to understand that. It reminds me like a badly crafted comparison that sometimes fixing a bug is updating documentation. That's the thing. You need to be creative about it and maximizing work not done, because the biggest asset that we have in our companies are people, but the second biggest is their time. And that's what we need to maximize. That's why then you try to focus on throughput. And that's an anti pattern that you fall into, which is if their time is what we have, then we need to maximize what they do with that time. But you don't do it through amount of issues delivered. You do it with value delivered and business value delivered. And that's where we need to look at.
Absolutely. Well, boy, that's a conversation that will take us another whole week of episodes. So before we dive into that, I do want to move on and talk about potentially, Luis, what might have been the best product owner example you've seen in your career.
I worked with a fair share of product owners, and they all have qualities and some moments where they weren't performing to the level they could. But that's okay. It's a journey. Being a product owner is a hard task. And I sometimes think that we underrate or we underestimate how hard it is to be a product owner. There are a lot of things into the role, from the fact that the role is misunderstood in a lot of companies, from the fact that a lot of times they actually have product managers dealing with another part of what can be their scope, because sometimes they do not have the empowerment to actually manage the team's accountabilities or even the team's outcomes. And it's a very tough role. So I'm very happy when I'm seeing a PO focusing on focusing the team. And this is the biggest thing they can do. So there was this PO that I saw that she needed to deliver an initiative at a given date. And I joined the team to help the team actually make the date. Yes, dates do happen. Let's not be naive about it.
The
Okay.
famous Christmas problem, right? No matter how much you look at it, it's still on the 25th of December.
Yes, and you'll have to buy your presents by then, even if it's on the 24th, right? So no, let's not be naive. Dates sometimes do happen, and you need to try and do your best to meet them. So this team was having a big lead time, and by big I mean huge. And all of a sudden, I can start empowering the PO to do some decisions while working with coaching the team to reduce the lead time on the work items that they have so that they can actually reach the outcome. And we start working together. All of a sudden, I'm seeing a PO that is able to tweak, I don't know, business rules in a day to meet the goals. So we have a PO defining goals from the moment she was empowered to do so. Actually, coming on to the dailies, and this will sound weird, but maximizing the work that the team could drop or not do on each daily to meet the goals, learning from the business rules and the business results that we were getting almost on a daily basis. And this agility of mind that she had was key to actually deliver the outcome. This while constantly updating and making a very good story map that was able to link discovery and delivery perfectly, and actually also owning problem areas where the product manager wasn't as effective as it could, including with a very good technique that I like, that is the opportunity solution tree, a tip that I leave here. If you don't know the work of Teresa Torres, go see it because it's amazing work and a very easy framework to use.
And we'll put the link on the show notes for sure. It almost reminds me of the theory of constraints, where there is I forget that there's also a tool that is exactly something like that, like a tree where you explore multiple solutions and you try to come up with the solution that has the least impact, whatever that might be. In our case, as teams, probably the least amount of work to deliver the value that we need to deliver.
Yeah, and the thing is that you think about the experiment that you do to solve that problem or that to tackle that opportunity, and you have a set of them, and then you can use whatever framework you want for that experiment, but you're actually in a very lightweight way trying to understand the problem and understand how much discovery do you want to do for said problem.
Yeah, and then, meanwhile, I checked. It's the current reality tree from Theory of Constraints. So definitely put the link on the show notes, because it does help as a thinking tool and also as a communication tool. And I'll put the link also to Teresa Torres's opportunity solution tree. Luís, it's been a pleasure. We're getting close to the end, but before we do go, where can people find out more about you and the work that you're doing?
I'm working at OutSystems. You can find me on LinkedIn. I believe you can drop the link as well, Vasco. So that's probably the best place to find me.
Thank you very much, Luís. First of all, thank you for giving me the opportunity of hearing my name pronounced by a native Portuguese. It might seem like a simple thing, but it's been a long time since I heard that name pronounced that way.
Vasco, it was amazing to be here, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity of talking to you.
Absolutely. Luís, thank you very much for your generosity with your time and your knowledge.
Have a nice weekend.
Hey friends, it's Vasco again, now with a bit longer announcement. I'm part of the team that is behind the Global Scrum Master Summit, the conference dedicated to the Scrum Master role. If you're a Scrum Master, the Scrum Master Summit is the place to learn, to share, and of course to meet new friends. We will have lots of live sessions where you can meet and network with other Scrum Masters from the whole globe. So make sure you check it at bit.ly/SM Summit 22. We have several amazing keynotes and 7 tracks that feature people like you and of course thought leaders sharing their insights, their knowledge, and helping you become an awesome Scrum Master. You can check out all of the details of the summit, including the keynotes announced, the track chairs, and much more at bit.ly/SM Summit 22. That's all one word. That's bit.ly/SM SUMMIT and the numeral 22. I'll see you on the conference floor.